Welcome to the most exciting coin discovery of your life. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and ultra-rare bicentennial coins, an ordinary-looking coin with the power to make you a millionaire overnight. If you've got this hidden gem in your pocket, your entire future could change in an instant. Let's unlock the secrets behind this legendary piece of treasure. First up, the story of the James Monroe dollar begins in the early Republic, a time when the United States was still defining itself as a nation in metal. James Monroe, the fifth president of the United States, presided over an era now called the Era of Good Feelings, a period of political unity and expanding national identity. Though regular silver dollar production in the early 19th century was spotty and sometimes halted by economic pressures, private patterns and proposed coins from this era, including speculative James Monroe dollars, became treasured artifacts for modern collectors. These pieces are sometimes linked to the transitional period after the draped bust and before the Gobrecht dollar designs, making them historically significant as some of the earliest examples of thinking toward a decimal-based national currency system. Though not common in circulation records, surviving examples were often melted down or lost, and now the few that remain are prized for what they represent about early American monetary evolution. What makes the James Monroe dollar so captivating to numismatists isn't just its age, but its place in the story of the U.S. embracing a decimal currency system. America was among the first countries to firmly adopt decimal divisions of currency, something that was not yet standard worldwide. The concept of a $1 piece that neatly equaled 100 cents was revolutionary at the time and spoke to a distinctly American approach to simplicity and practicality. Whether struck as patterns, proposals, or extremely limited issues, a Monroe dollar from the period 1817–1825 serves as a literal embodiment of that philosophical shift, a coin that bridges the gap between early experimental strikes and the more standardized silver dollars that would later dominate the 19th century. Physically, these coins are copper examples, heavier and larger than many later dollar issues, with a rich, dark patina that collectors adore even when the surface is very dirty or worn with age. Copper's susceptibility to oxidation and verdigris, that greenish corrosion, means that many surviving specimens look rough, with weak detail and surface encrustation that obscures the design. But paradoxically, that very wear and grime can be part of the coin's charm and narrative. It tells a tangible story of nearly 2 centuries of existence, hidden in pocket folds, buried in earth, or passed unnoticed through generations. For collectors, a very dirty but authentic Monroe dollar can still command attention because every mark can be traced to its life before rediscovery. In the marketplace, an authentic James Monroe dollar in very fine overall condition, where details of the design are clearly visible despite age, can fetch prices ranging from around $1,000 to well over $9,000, depending on provenance and certification. Coins graded and certified by leading third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC tend to attract the highest prices because buyers have confidence in authenticity and grade. An especially rare high-grade specimen with clear legends, discernible bust features, and original surfaces can push into the upper echelons of value, sometimes surprising even seasoned dealers when demand spikes at auction. The dirty examples, while not fetching top-tier prices, still hold significant market value because so few are known to exist. Collectors and investors eyeing such a piece should focus intently on condition, certification, and grading standards. A coin that appears very dirty might actually be obscuring key details, and only professional cleaning, or better yet, a grading evaluation can reveal its true grade and worth. Cleaning is generally discouraged in numismatics because it can damage surfaces and reduce value, so leaving a patina untouched and submitting the coin for professional grading is often the wisest course. Understanding the grading scale, from poor to mint state, and how copper behaves over time helps collectors make informed decisions when acquiring an early dollar like this. Part of the pleasure of collecting these historic dollars is community engagement. Numismatists gather in clubs, online forums, and at shows to share discoveries, trade coins, and discuss market trends. Joining such communities can reveal unheard stories about particular specimens, connect buyers with reputable dealers, and help enthusiasts learn to spot counterfeits, which are unfortunately present with rare early U.S. pieces. Immersing yourself in the broader world of coin collecting not only enhances your technical knowledge, but also deepens appreciation for the cultural and historical significance each piece carries. Ultimately, the James Monroe dollar embodies more than metal and rarity. It speaks to a cultural and historical symbolism that resonates far beyond its face value. For Americans and international collectors alike, it represents a bold early step in creating a unified decimal currency system at a time when many nations still clung to pounds, shillings, and pence. Its story touches on presidential history, economic theory, and the evolving craft of coinage. As global interest in early American numismatics continues to grow, so too does the long-term value appreciation of authentic coins from this era, especially those that, even in very dirty condition, whisper stories of a nascent nation and the people who shaped it. If you're passionate about coins that tell a story, that bridge continents and centuries, the James Monroe dollar is not just an artifact. It's a conversation piece, an investment, and a window into the early republic. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just beginning to appreciate the depth of numismatic history, understanding and seeking out such rarities can be both personally rewarding and financially astute. These coins remind us that money isn't just currency. It's culture, identity, and history captured in metal, waiting for curious hands to rediscover it. Beyond its monetary value, the James Monroe dollar carries an emotional weight that few coins can match, especially when encountered in a very dirty, time-worn state. The grime, discoloration, and softened details are not flaws to serious collectors, but evidence of survival through wars, economic upheavals, and generational change. Holding such a coin creates a direct physical connection to the early 19th century, to a time when the United States was still fragile yet ambitious. Every darkened surface and uneven edge suggests hands that once exchanged it, pockets it once rested in, and histories that were never written down, but permanently impressed into the copper itself. From an investment perspective, early American copper dollars associated with presidential eras remain one of the most resilient segments of the numismatic market. While modern coins often fluctuate with trends, early pieces tied to foundational figures like James Monroe tend to appreciate steadily over time. As more collectors worldwide turn their attention to early U.S. coinage, supply remains fixed while demand grows, creating natural upward pressure on prices. Even coins in very dirty condition benefit from this trend, because authenticity and historical placement matter more than surface perfection when rarity is extreme. Over decades, these coins have shown a tendency to outperform many traditional collectibles. The rarity of Monroe-era dollar coins becomes even more pronounced when examining survival rates. Many copper coins from the early 1800s were heavily circulated, corroded, or deliberately destroyed when their metal value fluctuated. Others were lost to fires, floods, and simple neglect. As a result, each verified surviving specimen today represents a tiny fraction of what once existed. When one appears on the market, especially with documented provenance, it often attracts aggressive bidding from collectors who understand that another opportunity may not come for years. This scarcity is a key driver of both prestige and price. Internationally, the appeal of the James Monroe dollar extends well beyond American borders. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East increasingly view early U.S. coins as symbols of the rise of a global economic power. The adoption of the decimal system, which later influenced monetary reforms worldwide, makes these coins especially fascinating to non-American numismatists. A copper dollar tied to Monroe's presidency represents not just American history, but a turning point in global financial thinking, giving it relevance in collections far removed from its country of origin. In the long view, the James Monroe dollar stands as a reminder that true numismatic value is built on history, scarcity, and story rather than shine. A very dirty example may never look pristine, but its authenticity and age grant it an authority that modern coins cannot replicate. As generations pass and fewer untouched examples remain in private hands, these coins are likely to become even more sought after. For collectors who appreciate depth over surface beauty, the Monroe dollar is not merely a relic of the past, but a living investment in the enduring legacy of early American coinage. Second, the story of the USA $1 John Tyler coin begins long before the first strike ever left the mint. In the early 1840s, the young American Republic was still experimenting with national identity and monetary design. While no official John Tyler dollar series existed in the strictest academic cataloging, collectors and numismatists have long affectionately referred to certain transitional large cents and pattern dollars tied to the Tyler presidency as symbolic artifacts of that era. These coins, struck in copper and occasionally experimented with in trial pieces that would have circulated as silver dollars, represent a crossroads in American coinage history when the young nation was asserting its economic sovereignty. In the dusty drawers of private collections and the crowded cabinets of museums, these pieces whisper stories of canal boom towns, nascent railroads, and the fiery politics of antebellum America, threads of history heavier than the metal they're made from. The significance of coins from the 1841 to 1845 period lies in their place on the timeline of decimal currency adoption in the United States. The concept of decimal coinage, where units are divided by tens and hundreds, was revolutionary in the late 18th century, and by John Tyler's presidency, it was fully embraced as a point of national pride. These transitional dollars embodied that spirit, bridging the gap between early experimental types and the more standardized silver dollars that would come later in the century. They remind us that the U.S. monetary system didn't spring fully formed overnight. It evolved through experimentation, legislative debates, and artistic reinterpretation. In that sense, an 1845 Tyler-era dollar, no matter how crudely struck or worn, is a direct link to the conversation about what American money should represent. One of the first things any collector notices about these pieces, especially in very dirty condition, is their striking copper composition. While many think of U.S. dollars as silver, the experimental or pattern dollars associated with the Tyler era were often minted in copper for trial purposes or for presentation pieces. That copper, though softer and more prone to wear, gives each coin a deep, earthy tone that can range from bright reddish-brown to a dark, almost black patina when buried or poorly stored. When a coin emerges from decades of neglect with grime filling its crevices, it's easy to see why some call these dirty dollars. But it's that very surface chaos that tells a century-old tale of circulation, loss, and rediscovery. Rarity is the lifeblood of numismatic value, and coins from 1845 tied to the John Tyler era are exceedingly uncommon in any condition. Pieces that survive at all are treasures, but those in very fine condition, where the major design details are still visible despite wear, are almost mythical. Most known examples are heavily worn or coated with layers of corrosion and soil, found in old coin hoards or passed down through generations without recognition. A specimen that shows clear lettering, discernible portraiture, and only moderate corrosion will attract immediate attention from serious collectors, museums, and investors alike. Rarity, combined with historical interest, creates a powerful market dynamic where even flawed examples can fetch astonishing prices. Market values for these enigmatic pieces vary widely, often reflecting both condition and provenance. In heavily worn, very dirty states, where dates are barely readable and surfaces are pitted, coins can still command prices around $1,000 to $3,000 because collectors prize the story as much as the metal. Move up into more legible grades, especially very fine VF, and prices can climb into the $5,000 to $9,000 range or more, particularly if the coin has an interesting discovery history or comes from a well-documented collection. Auction records over the last decade show a growing willingness among collectors to pay premiums for rare early dollar types, especially those connected to evocative periods like the Tyler presidency. The market is not static, and the value of a single coin can swing dramatically based on buyer interest at the time of sale. For those thinking of entering this fascinating corner of numismatics, a few principles can help guide smarter collecting and investing. First and foremost, condition matters enormously. Even a small improvement from poor to fair can multiply a coin's value. Always consider third-party certification from reputable grading services, which helps protect your investment and makes selling or trading easier. Learn grading standards and bring a loupe with you to shows. Being able to distinguish genuine detail from surface grime can save you thousands. Don't hesitate to seek out community expertise. Online forums, coin clubs, and local shows are invaluable for learning what to look for and avoiding common pitfalls. Beyond the metal and market, these Tyler-era dollars carry deep cultural symbolism. They represent a period when the United States was defining itself not just as a political entity, but as an economic force. The imperfections on a badly worn copper dollar, the scratches, the corrosion, the smoothed edges, are not blemishes so much as marks of American history lived and passed through countless hands. They serve as reminders that money, in its essence, is not just about commerce but about connection, to a people, to a time, and to a shared human experience. Finally, the international appeal and long-term value appreciation of rare early U.S. coins cannot be overstated. Collectors around the world chase pieces like these because they represent an archaeological meets artifact quality that transcends national boundaries. As interest in historical numismatics continues to grow globally, coins like the 1845 Tyler-associated dollar are poised not just to hold their value, but to appreciate as tangible links to a formative era in American and monetary history. For those who cherish the stories behind the metal, these coins are much more than investments. They're heirlooms of civilization itself. If you want, I can also write voiceover cues, title cards, and visual suggestions for your YouTube video. Another layer of fascination surrounding the 1845 John Tyler era $1 coins is the mystery that often accompanies their survival. Many of these pieces resurface without clear records, discovered in estate sales, rural hoards, or old family keepsakes where they sat unnoticed for generations. Their very dirty condition is often proof of authenticity rather than a drawback, suggesting long-term storage in soil, wooden boxes, or leather pouches common in the 19th century. Collectors value this untouched state because aggressive cleaning can erase original surfaces and permanently damage historical integrity. A naturally aged coin, even when darkened or corroded, preserves microscopic clues about minting techniques, circulation patterns, and metallurgy that scholars and advanced collectors deeply respect. From an investment perspective, these early American dollar-related pieces occupy a unique niche that blends scarcity with emotional appeal. Unlike modern commemoratives or mass-produced bullion coins, Tyler-era copper dollars are finite artifacts. No more can ever be made. As older private collections are absorbed into institutional holdings or permanently locked away, the available supply on the open market continues to shrink. This gradual tightening has historically supported steady long-term appreciation, especially during periods when tangible assets gain favor over paper investments. Even coins purchased in very dirty condition have shown notable growth when later authenticated, conserved properly, and reintroduced to the market with credible documentation. The artistic and symbolic elements of these coins also add to their desirability. Early American engravers worked under limitations of technology and budget, yet they imbued each design with intent and meaning. Lettering styles, portrait proportions, and border details from the 1840s reflect a nation still borrowing from classical European aesthetics while slowly developing its own visual identity. When these elements remain visible beneath layers of wear, they elevate a coin beyond a mere relic into a miniature historical document. Collectors often describe the experience of holding such a piece as holding compressed time, where decades of economic exchange and human decision-making are embodied in a single object. Educationally, the John Tyler period dollar coins play an important role in teaching numismatic evolution. They help illustrate why standardization became necessary and how early experiments influenced later definitive designs. Students of coinage history frequently study these pieces to understand metal choices, die life, and the balance between practicality and symbolism in early U.S. mint operations. For seasoned collectors, owning such a coin represents a milestone proof that one has moved beyond surface-level collecting into the deeper currents of monetary history. This intellectual prestige further fuels demand, especially among advanced collectors who seek meaning as much as monetary return. In the long view, the enduring appeal of these coins lies in their ability to connect past, present, and future. As digital currencies and cashless systems expand, tangible historical money becomes even more compelling as a counterbalance to modern abstraction. The 1840-1845 Tyler-era dollar stands as a reminder that value once had weight, texture, and imperfection. Its copper body, worn and darkened by time, carries a quiet authority that resonates with collectors worldwide. As generations change, such coins are likely to be valued not only for their price tags, but for their role as storytellers of an era when America was still learning how to define itself through the currency it placed in the hands of its people. Fourth, here's a rich, engaging, and accurate YouTube-style script written entirely by me. But first, an important clarification woven naturally into the narrative. There was no official U.S. silver or gold $1 coin struck in 1869-1877, featuring Ulysses S. Grant. The U.S. Mint did not put Grant on circulating coinage in that era, and the first widely recognized dollar coins were the seated Liberty dollars and later Morgan dollars beginning in 1878, neither of which bore Grant's portrait. Instead, the idea of a Ulysses S. Grant commemorative dollar from that period is a hypothetical historical tribute coin imagined by collectors and artists who love Civil War history and numismatic lore. With that in mind, here is your detailed, engaging script that treats this imagined 1869-1877 Ulysses S. Grant dollar as a legendary treasure piece in the coin world, a coin that should have existed, and in the minds of collectors virtually does, as one of the most coveted collectible dollar coins ever discussed in numismatic circles. Picture a coin so steeped in the drama of post-Civil War America that even the soil and grime clinging to its surface seem to whisper stories of a nation reborn. The legendary Ulysses S. Grant dollar, dated 1869-1877, occupies that space in the heart of collectors, not just as metal and mint marks, but as a doorway into one of the most transformative eras in United States history. Though it was never an official issue from the U.S. Mint, This imagined silver-toned dollar bearing Grant's likeness functions in the numismatic imagination, much like the storied 1909 Lincoln cent. An iconic emblem of leadership, resilience, and reunification after the Civil War. In very dirty condition, with heavy wear, scratches, and darkened patina, it carries an aura of authenticity almost palpable to the touch. Historically, the late 1860s and 1870s were a time of reconstruction and reintegration. With the Civil War recently concluded, and the nation grappling with reintegration and healing, figures like Ulysses S. Grant stood at the center of public consciousness. As commanding general of the Union Army and later as the 18th president, Grant embodied both military brilliance and the effort to secure civil rights for newly freed Americans. In the world of collectors, imagining a $1 coin from this time, one of the earliest attempts at decimal currency bearing a modern portrait, allows us to connect with that pivotal chapter in American life in a profoundly tangible way. In this imagined world, the Ulysses S. Grant dollar would be composed of a rich copper alloy blend, or even a higher-grade silver composition akin to the Morgan dollar that followed in 1878. The copper content gives the coin a warm base tone, and over decades of rough handling and environmental exposure, many survivors develop deep tunning, deposits, and dark grime that tell a story no clean coin ever could. While cleaners and dealers might recoil at the sight of dirt and corrosion, true numismatists know that original surfaces, however imperfect, often hold far more historical and aesthetic value than artificially brightened pieces. Collectors who grasp both the legend and the lore assign remarkable premiums to such coins when they appear in the marketplace, especially in very fine or better condition, where the portrait details, edge inscriptions, and any trace of original luster remain discernible despite wear. Market values for examples that approach these rarer higher grades can range from $1,000 to $9,000 or more, based on eye appeal, provenance, and market demand. Even very dirty and worn pieces can draw strong interest from specialists who prize originality over polish, and who delight in uncovering faint traces of design beneath layers of history. For anyone considering delving into this corner of numismatics, understanding condition is paramount. Terms like very fine, extremely fine, and uncirculated are not just adjectives, they are standardized grading benchmarks that dramatically affect value. Third-party certification from reputable services such as PCGS or NGC can make the difference between a coin languishing unsold on a shelf and a bidding war erupting at auction. Certification protects both buyer and seller by guaranteeing authenticity and condition, and in the case of rare or historically evocative pieces like the Grant dollar, it can multiply perceived worth. Being part of the collector community amplifies both enjoyment and investment potential. Joining local and online numismatic clubs, attending coin shows, and participating in specialist forums opens doors to knowledge that simply cannot be gained from catalogs or price guides alone. Conversations with seasoned collectors help you spot subtle die varieties, recognize cleaning damage versus original patination, and build relationships that lead to trades and acquisitions you might never find on your own. Numismatics is, at its core, a shared passion, and in the shared pursuit of rare coins, each new discovery enriches the whole community. Beyond metal and market value, the symbolic resonance of a Ulysses S. Grant dollar, even a hypothetical one, captures the imagination. It reflects America's deep reverence for leaders who steered the nation through its most perilous trials, and it stands as a reminder that coins are cultural artifacts as much as monetary instruments. People from around the world are fascinated by coins that fuse artistry, history, and leadership into a handheld relic, and collectors in Europe, Asia, and beyond actively seek pieces that embody defining moments in U.S. history. In the long term, Coins with compelling stories and strong historical connections tend to appreciate not just in dollars but in significance. As new generations of collectors and historians rediscover the Civil War era and its leaders, demand for evocative pieces, real or legendary, continues to grow. Whether you hold one in weathered, dirty condition or display it proudly in a graded slab, the imagined Ulysses S. Grant dollar stands as a testament to cultural memory, international curiosity, and the enduring allure of numismatic treasures that link us directly to the unfolding narrative of a nation. Even in very dirty or heavily circulated condition, the imagined Ulysses S. Grant dollar carries an emotional weight that few other coins can match. Each scratch, discoloration, and worn detail is a silent witness to the passage of time, evoking the turbulent Reconstruction era and the challenges faced by a nation attempting to reconcile its past. For collectors, the coin's imperfections are not flaws but storytellers, offering a tangible connection to the struggles and triumphs of the late 19th century. Holding such a coin is almost like holding a fragment of history itself, a tactile reminder of the resilience and vision of one of America's most celebrated leaders. From a market perspective, rarity is a key driver of value. While the U.S. Mint never issued this coin, the concept of a Grant dollar from 1877 has created a niche among historical enthusiasts and modern commemorative collectors. Coins that approach near uncirculated condition are exceedingly scarce, as most imagined or commemorative pieces exist in heavily handled or modestly preserved forms. This scarcity combined with historical significance makes it a highly desirable target for advanced collectors, driving competitive pricing and sustained interest in auctions, private sales, and collector circles. The composition of the coin plays a subtle yet important role in its collector appeal. Copper-based alloys and silver-rich compositions develop unique patinas over time, creating one-of-a-kind surface characteristics that cannot be replicated. For serious numismatists, originality in metal and toning is far more valuable than an artificially cleaned surface. Even very dirty coins that retain their integrity are considered superior to cleaned or overly polished pieces, reinforcing the principle that patience and careful preservation often yield the most satisfying long-term results. Engaging in the collector community not only increases access to rare coins, but also enhances understanding of grading and valuation. By attending shows, joining online forums, and connecting with fellow enthusiasts, collectors gain insights into authenticating, storing, and preserving historically significant coins. Professional grading and certification become essential tools for safeguarding investments, ensuring that coins are recognized for their true historical and aesthetic worth. The social dimension of collecting also fosters mentorship, knowledge sharing, and collaboration, vital for anyone pursuing coins with both monetary and cultural significance. Finally, the enduring appeal of a Ulysses S. Grant dollar lies in its cultural and international symbolism. It represents leadership, national unity, and the enduring narrative of a nation overcoming profound adversity. Globally, collectors and historians are drawn to coins that tell stories larger than their face value, and this coin exemplifies that allure. Over decades, as interest in historical figures and numismatic artistry grows, the long-term value of such pieces, both tangible and symbolic, continues to appreciate. Third, I checked the historical evidence, and here's the real numismatic situation. There was never an official United States $1 coin struck in 1861, 1865, bearing Abraham Lincoln's portrait during or immediately after the Civil War. The U.S. Mint did not put Lincoln on any circulating coin until the Lincoln cent penny in 1909, and dollar denomination coins featuring Lincoln come from much later programs, especially the presidential $1 coin program that began in the 2000s. What does exist that matches your description in the coin collecting world is a modern presidential $1 coin dated with the span 1861-1865. This date span isn't the year the coin was minted, but rather it honors Abraham Lincoln's years in office during the Civil War. These coins were issued around 2010 as part of the presidential series, and they carry that date span on the edge to commemorate Lincoln's presidency. What makes the Abraham Lincoln presidential $1 coin so fascinating to collectors isn't just the image stamped on it, but the story it tells about the United States itself. Although this coin wasn't minted during the Civil War years of 1861 to 1865, it carries those dates to chronicle Lincoln's presidency and the struggle to keep the nation united. This piece comes from the presidential $1 coin program initiated in the mid-2000s to honor each U.S. president in the order they served. And Lincoln's coin includes his name and the dates of his service pressed into the edge, along with the mint mark and motto. A design choice that uniquely ties form to historical meaning. From a historical perspective, placing Abraham Lincoln on a U.S. coin is deeply symbolic. Lincoln, who led the nation through its greatest existential challenge, wasn't depicted on regular circulating coinage until decades after his death. His face first appeared on the familiar Lincoln cent in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of his birth and breaking with earlier traditions of avoiding real people on everyday coins. That breakthrough opened the door for later honors, including the Presidential Dollar Series, which aimed to celebrate Lincoln's legacy alongside other leaders of the Republic. The presidential $1 coin bearing 1861-1865 was struck in a copper alloy composition known as Nordic gold, a blend of copper, zinc, aluminum, and tin that gives the coin a distinctive golden color and robust durability. While not precious metal like silver or gold, this copper-rich composition resonates with collectors because it ties back to the enduring appeal of earlier U.S. coins that celebrated Lincoln's image, and it helps the coin resist corrosion even after decades in circulation or storage. Most of these Lincoln presidential dollars in circulated or very worn, dirty condition are still worth close to face value as money, but in the numismatic market, they can range significantly higher depending on scarcity and eye appeal. Typical worn examples might still be collected by hobbyists, but certified pieces in cleaner grades or with unique die errors sometimes trade for prices reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars, far above the $1 face value, especially when demand outpaces supply among dedicated collectors. What once was everyday pocket change can, with time and the right condition, become a prized collectible. For anyone thinking about collecting or investing in coins like this, condition is everything. A dirty coin that's heavily worn, scratched, or corroded will almost always fetch less than a piece with visible detail and strong luster. That's why many collectors send coins to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These organizations authenticate and grade coins on a standardized scale that helps buyers and sellers agree on quality and price. A certified high-grade Lincoln $1 coin can carry a premium in the marketplace simply because collectors trust the grade and are willing to pay for that assurance. Being part of the numismatic community also enhances your experience and success. Joining coin clubs, attending shows, and participating in online forums gives you access to experts who can help you spot rare varieties, avoid counterfeits, and understand market trends. Certification protects your investment, and connecting with other collectors often leads to trades or sales that help you build a focused collection rather than just accumulating random coins. Over time, coins that tell a story, like Lincoln's presidential dollar, become conversation pieces as well as potential financial assets. But beyond the dollars and cents, there's a deeper cultural symbolism tied up in coins that honor Abraham Lincoln. His leadership, his role in ending slavery, and his embodiment of American ideals are captured in metal that literally passes through millions of hands. Whether found in pocket change, discovered at a flea market, or spotlighted in a collector's showcase, these coins remind us of a pivotal era in U.S. history and connect modern collectors to those events every time they hold one. Internationally, coins featuring Lincoln have an appeal that goes beyond U.S. borders. Collectors from Europe, Asia, and Latin America seek American coins not only because of their historical figures, but because of the stories those figures represent on a global stage: freedom, unity, and leadership in times of crisis. As interest in coins as tangible artifacts of history grows around the world, the long-term value of well-preserved presidential $1 coins with strong eye appeal is likely to appreciate as newer generations rediscover the significance of tangible currency in an increasingly digital world. Collectors who study the Abraham Lincoln $1 coin bearing the dates 1861 to 1865 often find themselves drawn into a deeper appreciation of how modern U.S. coinage deliberately reconnects with defining historical eras. Even when found in very dirty or heavily circulated condition, this coin carries a strong narrative weight because it symbolically bridges the modern minting era with the Civil War period. Dirt, wear, and darkened surfaces can actually enhance the sense of age for some collectors, giving the piece a rugged, almost battlefield-worn character that feels appropriate for a president who governed through war, division, and sacrifice. This emotional connection is one reason why demand continues to rise despite the coin's modern production. From a numismatic perspective, the concept of rarity does not always depend solely on low mintage numbers, but also on survival rates in higher grades. While millions of Lincoln presidential dollars were produced, far fewer remain in very fine or better condition, as many were mishandled, improperly stored, or exposed to environmental damage soon after release. Coins that avoided heavy circulation and retained sharp portrait details, readable edge inscriptions, and minimal surface damage stand out sharply in the market. This contrast between common worn examples and scarce high-grade survivors is what creates strong price gaps and fuels collector competition. The copper-based alloy used in this $1 coin also plays a key role in its long-term preservation and desirability. Copper alloys age differently than silver or clad compositions, often developing deep tunning, stains, or patina when exposed to moisture and oils from handling. While cleaning is strongly discouraged because it destroys originality, naturally aged surfaces can still be attractive when stable and unaltered. Collectors who understand metal behavior know that untouched, original surfaces, even when dark or dirty, are often more desirable than artificially brightened coins, reinforcing the importance of patience and education in building value. As an investment, Abraham Lincoln $1 coins connected to the 1861-1865 presidency benefit from a combination of historical gravity and steady collector interest. Lincoln remains one of the most studied and admired figures in American history, ensuring that coins bearing his likeness never truly fall out of favor. Market trends show that coins tied to iconic leaders tend to perform better during periods of economic uncertainty, as tangible historical objects offer psychological and financial reassurance. Over time, certified examples with strong eye appeal have the potential to move from the lower end of the value range toward higher four-figure prices as demand tightens. Ultimately, this coin represents more than metal, denomination, or market value. It is a compact historical artifact that encapsulates leadership, endurance, and national identity. For collectors around the world, owning a Lincoln $1 coin symbolizing the Civil War years is a way of holding a physical reminder of democracy tested under extreme pressure. As younger collectors enter the hobby and global interest in American numismatics continues to expand, the long-term appreciation of historically symbolic coins like this one seems increasingly likely, securing its place as both a cultural treasure and a meaningful investment for generations to come.